Hello everyone, welcome for Astrology Capsules of October 2017. So let's first do a brief recap of September. So as we were talking last time in September, the opposition between Uranus and Jupiter is really key, and the impact of Uranus has been major. It's still being so with the hurricanes that are major this year. Again, a hurricane is really connected with the energy of Uranus because it's changing everything. It's moving so much energy, so much power, like it's a super powerful energy that just change everything where it's going. So now it's an energy that is not mastered so much, but at least it's very efficient. It's there. It's changing our realities. I'm not saying it's a positive thing, those hurricanes, but for sure, it's questioning how we react, how we manage. It's questioning our Jupiter. You know, all this cycle we went through those last 9 months with our Jupiter. It's time now with Uranus in September to change it, to verify what we learned from all those experiences with our Jupiter we went through those last 9 months. So again, it's an amazing time to see Uranus so active, questioning so strongly how do we react to that, how do we deal with all those things. The hurricanes have been major again this year, and also some earthquakes as well. So all those events happening, pushing, changing, churning our world. Those hurricanes are just churning our world so strong. They're pushing us in a direction where we have to react. We have to see how we deal with that kind of situation. How do we manage? Do we help? How do we do? And our Jupiter has to take a position into this dynamic. And it's also the same with North Korea, which is doing very important moves right now. And again, it's pushing our Jupiter to see how do we react, how do we face that. Where do we put our energies facing this kind of situation? So Uranus is churning all that, questioning our Jupiter. Did you learn something? Do you know now how to react? And it's kind of pushing us in a corner. We have to take those decisions. We have to stand. We have to be strong. We have to show some good qualities that we acquired while we were questioning our Jupiter, the way we managed things those last 9 months. So now is the time to really react to that, to show what we learned. And again, September is amazing. We're still into it right now as I'm talking, but that's the full dynamic of September. This opposition with Uranus and Jupiter is so major, so strong, so meaningful. So it's affecting everybody. It's a worldwide thing again. So in October, as we mentioned last time also, Jupiter will be leaving Libra and entering the world of Scorpio. Now the world of Scorpio is quite fascinating. It is a place where we really do visit our unconsciousness. Our unconsciousness is a very special place where such things as, you know, what we bring along with us when we leave this world, you know, the lessons, the conclusions we will have drawn from this incarnation, what we bring along when we go, when we pass away. It touches that kind of reality. It also touches what drives, you know, the very deep reasons that makes us do some decisions, do some choices. It also talks about that drive that comes from our unconsciousness. It's not something we are really conscious of why we make our decisions. It's some hidden reasons. We might sometimes, you know, with that kind of reality, we see it we have a glimpse of it. We see it for a split second, and then we kind of forget about it right away because we hide those things very often within ourselves. So the unconsciousness is such a great, vast energy that is so much bigger, so much greater than what we think of when we think of, you know, a mass of people, the crowd. When we think about the crowd, the level of consciousness is so small. It's like a kid, right? So when we think about Scorpio, it's something much more vast than that. So we tend to hide it from the crowd, from our social reality. So it's something that is very, very deep, and from time to time we see it, we're conscious of it, but again, we tend to hide it. So now Jupiter is entering this world. So for us, it will be, you know, from everything we learned through the last 9 months and everything we are actually putting the seal on in September. And that is really key with Uranus questioning our Jupiter. It's kind of our exam, you know, how do we react to those kind of situations? How do we deal with those energies? Well, everything we learned and everything we decide to, you know, live by now with our Jupiter, now we'll go with this consciousness of Jupiter and we'll go into the world of Scorpio. So we'll be looking at those things that we usually hide, we're not so much aware of. It's the drive that really makes us do our moves. So this is going to be amazing, because it's very hard to, you know, have your own power, you know, to be saying like, okay, yes, I master this unconsciousness. No, it's very difficult. It takes some time and it takes a lot of efforts, and it doesn't come all of a sudden. So of course, we won't be able all of a sudden to master this world. No, no, no. It will take some time. So we will do a few steps, and everyone at its own level, we will do a few steps to master this unconsciousness a little bit more. What is for sure is we will go there. We will see, you know, those things that triggers our action, you know, those very hidden forces that triggers those. We're not talking about a force of action and this idea of being into action. No, no, no. What we have to look at now that Jupiter enters Scorpio is something much more subtle. It is the reason why we will ignite this this energy, this motor, this energy of action. It's why we will put those actions in motion. So that's very important. We'll be having a chance to look at this, and again, Jupiter will be in Scorpio for about a year, right? Jupiter does a full circle in the zodiac in 12 years, so every year it's going through a different sign. So now in October 2017 it's entering Scorpio, so a unique chance for about a year to really move into this world of Scorpio. Another aspect of this passage of Jupiter in Scorpio is the fact that as soon as Jupiter will enter Scorpio in October, then all three planets, so Mercury, Moon and Sun, all three of them will actually join Jupiter into Scorpio. And Mercury will join him at 1 degree Scorpio, Moon at 2 and Sun at 3. So that's extremely key, because what do we have there? We have Mercury, Moon and Sun. So those three really do represent our mind, let's say, because the Sun will represent our consciousness. You know, this, what we are aware of now at every second of our life. The spirit, where is the spirit at every split second where we live? So that's basically our consciousness, what we're aware of. And then the Moon will represent our imagination. So it's this opening to everything else that exists. So that's very connected together. Sun and Moon, again, they're totally complementary. One is the masculine part of the other, Sun and Moon. And then Mercury is pretty much the child of those two. And it is, directly it is our mind, how we think, our intellect, our memory, our communication, our way to talk, our way to show information. So this is all connected to our mind, our imagination, and our consciousness second by second. So all those three will follow and join Jupiter in Scorpio. So that means, you know, sometimes a planet enters Scorpio, and you know, Scorpio is our unconsciousness. So sometimes Jupiter will just get lost into the world of Scorpio and we won't think about it anymore, because it's just hidden in this obscure world of Scorpio, of the unconsciousness. But now this time, our mind, our imagination, and our consciousness will follow. So that's another reason why this passage of Jupiter in Scorpio is so key. So that means that as Jupiter enters the world of Scorpio, we will follow. We meaning for every person, our mind, our imagination, and our consciousness will follow Jupiter. So we'll see how we actually do manage those energies. We will go into there. And this is specific for October. it's very meaningful for the whole year where Jupiter will spend in Scorpio, but it's specific for October. So in October we'll really have a chance. That's where our mind will be, our consciousness, our mind, and of course our imagination will go through the whole zodiac because it does a circle into 28 days or so. But our mind will really follow Jupiter in there. So that's extremely important. Be aware, be careful. We're just coming out of this big total solar eclipse in August 2017. But now, of course, it won't be an eclipse, our consciousness, but now it's our consciousness that goes into the darkness. Now it's us moving into it. Before it was kind of, you know, some kind of obscurity hiding our consciousness a little bit and allowing it to receive some special hidden message and so on. But now it's different. Now it's our own consciousness entering this world of Scorpio. So really having a look at what drives this Jupiter, what drives our way of managing our own energies and our own way of living. So I know I talk a lot about Jupiter those days because it's and that's why. It's because it's so key what is happening to it. Now in September, remember, we're going through this Uranus questioning Jupiter, making sure we put a seal on what we learned through those last 9 months, so we don't forget how it works, how Jupiter had those huge power issues, how we were learning about the way to take decisions and the idea of power. How do we use our energies, and how do we direct, how we take decisions, how we use the power. So because there was a huge square between Jupiter and Pluto for months, and we learned a lot about that. Now we learned a lot. We saw how decisions are taken. We saw the game of the politicians. We saw all those things very obviously. Now this will be hidden again. We won't be looking at that anymore so much. But now in September we put a seal on what we learned, and we show, you know, how much more mature we are and how we can actually take decisions, how we can deal with it, how we can use this Jupiter, this generous manager of our energies. And right after that, in October, we will be entering the world of Scorpio with this generous manager that had his diploma of Libra. That's the major aspect for October. There will be another one, and Mars and Venus will be in conjunction in Virgo, and they will form a square with Saturn and a trine with Pluto. So now this is quite meaningful because Mars and Venus, those two, they really govern our desires, what we're attracted to, and also our desires to own things. And they really talk about this emotional feeling level, but this emotional push and pull that we live with everything that we're attracted to, that we want to possess, that we want to be with, that we want, that we desire. It's really talking about all this energy. Again, it's masculine and feminine of that emotional energy that moves us so much in our daily life. It's so big, it's so important. So those two are actually somewhere else than the three other what we call personal planets, which are, the five of them are Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus and Mars. So the three first ones, Sun, Moon and Mercury, are all following Jupiter. So they are right there on the spot where the most important things are happening. But then Mars and Venus are pulled apart from them, and they are in Virgo with a square with Saturn and a trine with Pluto. Now Saturn and Pluto are both amazing guardians, so they kind of keep an eye on Mars and Venus and Virgo just to keep them a bit quiet. Of course they're in conjunction, so they do have strength. But again, in Virgo, they are not that powerful, not that strong there, and Pluto and Saturn are keeping an eye on them. So it's about making sure our emotions don't dive with Jupiter and start mixing everything up and losing the thread in our mind, losing the thread of what we learned in those last 9 months, losing the thread of what we've been through in September. You know, some really crucial events are happening in September, and we are You know, we are saying, yes, I understand, these are important choices, and that's how I react. We're offering our position. We say it out loud. It's a seal put on what we learned on our Jupiter. And now when we go in Scorpio in October, we want to make sure our emotions are not mixing up all those things that we learned and making it blurry again. So both Saturn and Pluto are looking, are making sure that this is not happening, and that we keep our mind, our imagination, and our consciousness clear while we go into the world of Scorpio. So that will be fascinating. Again, enjoy the month of October. There will be a lot of strength. Totally looking forward to it. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and see you next month for November. Thank you so much. Have a good one.